Hey guys, it's Rebecca. I'm back to teach you some great stuff about how to follow up in your launch program. So at this point, you've begun sharing essential oils with a lot of people in your life, and you've given them samples, you've showed up, you've delivered them, you've taught them a little bit how to use a sample, and now today, what comes next is what I'm going to teach you. I want to make 3 really straight up points today. 1, that timing is crucial to create a relationship of trust. 2, I'm going to teach you some sales skills and communication skills so that you can be an excellent listener when you follow up. And 3, the point of all of this is to invite them to learn more in a class setting. So let's dive in. Okay, let's start with timing is everything. From the moment you give someone a sample, hopefully you've had the opportunity to ask them when is a good time for you to follow up. And if you haven't, if you just, like rookie mistake number 1, if you've given them the sample and just walked away without any communication about the next time you'll touch base, that's okay. The third thing is to actually do what you say you're going to do. When you leave the sample in their hands, or you follow up because you didn't do it right the first time, you have an agreed time that you're going to call them back. So whatever you've got to do to fulfill that agreed time, do it. Write yourself a sticky note as soon as you get back in the car. Put a timer set on your phone, calendar, 7 o'clock on Wednesday night to call Maria back. Whatever you've got to do, make sure that you do it and show up in the way that you say that you're going to show up. That creates this beautiful foundation for trust in your relationship in the future that's going to create or at least make it possible for the creation of following sales. If for some reason you can't make it at the time that you suggested that you would, then at the very least send them a message that says, oh crap, I'm cleaning up a poopy diaper mess, whatever, I'll call you tomorrow night. Whatever it needs to be, just make sure there's like constant communication, because this is crucial. The longer that there isn't constant communication, like if it's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, the next week, the following week, you're losing priority to them. They're not going to realize that essential oils are really cool if you don't act like they are, and it's important to follow up about essential oils. And also there's kind of like this agreement pressure. They said yes, that you could call them at a certain time, and most responsible people have this pressure that they feel to keep their commitments if they agreed that you can follow up with them. And the longer that you aren't keeping your commitment, the less and less likely they are to actually care when you do finally get together with them. So just realize that when you give them a sample, you're going to have like a 48-hour time period to shoot to connect back with them again and see how it went. That's your timing. Now, if you follow up with them and they say they haven't had a chance to actually get to using the sample, that's okay. Start over the process. It's okay. You will do that a few times, especially with very busy people, because they don't know how cool oils are yet. Just start the process over. Say, oh man, I really think it's going to help with your sleep, or whatever you gave them the sample for. Is it okay if I call you in 2 days and see if you can use it 2 nights in a row and see if it helps? Just start the process over. Ask them, is it okay if? Ask them when is a good time for them that day, and then actually show up and do it. Timing. It's critical to create a relationship of trust. Okay, now key point number 2. Let's assume that you have successfully followed up within your time commitment that you made. And what do you do next? Next, you're going to ask them how it went. How did the sample experience go for them? And this is where you shut up and you put on your listening ears and you're just listening for how their experience went. And you can practice. This is a really good skill for being a good listener. You can practice hearing what they say for a few sentences and then summing it up and repeating it back to them. That helps them know that you're listening to what they're saying. You're not just here to ask them a question and follow up to the next sales question. Nobody wants to feel like that's what you're doing. They want to know that you're listening to their experience. So you're going to shut up. You're going to listen to how it went for them until they're done talking. Do not interrupt them. And then repeat back. Oh, so it went like this for you. That's, And then It doesn't really matter if it was a good or a bad experience. The bottom line is we're still going to ask them to learn more. So let's say you give them Breathe, they rub it in their eye. That's a bad experience, but it's a great reason for you to say, there's just a little bit that you got to learn about essential oils before you can use them effectively. So would you like to learn more? Like, do you believe that it's possible that if you learned more that they could be more effective? That's what you really want to find out. So you're going to ask the question. You're going to ask the question, how did it go? You're going to shut up and listen. And then no matter what their experience was, you're going to validate it. And you're going to ask them, number 3, the third key. You're going to ask them if they would like to learn more about essential oils. The majority of the people that you shared a sample with, they're open already. They're going to say yes. But some people won't. And that's okay. If they're not open at this point after learning so much about essential oils, if they're not open at this point, they're not the person that you want to be working with. So, but most of the time, you'll ask them if they're open to learning more. They'll say yes. And then you invite them to your next class. So that invitation to your class can go a number of different ways. You could have a class that's already set up that you invite them to. So for instance, you have a Wednesday night class that always rolls over and you're just going to say, hey, we have a Wednesday night class. That's not enough. You have to tell them the time, and then you have to ask them if they individually want to come. That's called an invitation. And if you just give them information about when the class is, they're not going to feel any obligation or welcome to come. You have to ask them, would you like to come? Are you available that night? Do you work that night? Do you think you can make it? Those are all excellent questions to actually help them feel like you're inviting them. So that is the question. That's kind of what it's going to look like. You'll get a few different responses. Sometimes they'll get oh, sure, I'd love to come. From those people, you'll say, great. And then about half of the time, they'll actually make it. And a half of the time, something else in their life will come up, and that's not a personal comment on you. Don't give up if they don't come. Try again. Set it up again with them. If someone doesn't make it to about 3 of my classes, then I set up a one-on-one with them, and it might look something like I just asked. They'll start to feel bad. They'll start to not take my phone calls anymore. So I might just send them a message that says, hey, I know I've been missing you. You must be really busy, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Is this still something you're interested in learning? Because I would still love to teach you and offer a one-on-one setting. So the second kind of response that you could have besides, oh yeah, sure, when is it? I want to come, is that they're busy. And that's not a bad response. We like busy people. Busy people get stuff done. So if it just isn't going to work out for them to come to your class, then offer them a one-on-one when it actually is going to work with their schedule. And this is how I do that. You don't just say, oh yeah, what time will work for you? That does not communicate the message that you are busy and your time is important. It tells them that they can walk on you. So even if people aren't mean and they don't want to purposefully walk on you, it tells them that it's okay if they cancel on you and reschedule. So this is how I'll do it. I'll ask them, not when works for you. I'll ask them, does Wednesday night or Saturday night work better for you? I give them 2 options. You don't have to say Wednesday or Saturday. You could say any day that works actually with your schedule, but give them 2 options. Does Wednesday or Saturday work for you? Okay, great. Do you need a morning or an evening appointment? Okay, great. Those are questions that I'm asking, and I'm giving them 2 options. If you give them 3 or more options, they're going to be overwhelmed, and it's guaranteed they're going to say something like, oh, let me check my calendar and get back to you. And they may say something like that anyway. And if they do, then you need to ask them, okay, when do you think you'll have a chance to check your calendar? Okay, Wednesday at work. Great. Can I call you that evening and ask what time is going to work out? Excellent. You've created another scheduled commitment time to follow up with the next step. So again, don't back out on that. Recap everything that we just talked about with a follow-up call. It's really important to make the call when you said that you would. Listen really well to their conversation and their experience, whether it's good or bad. And then 3, you're going to follow up with an invitation to learn more. That's it. That's all you got to know. You don't have to know the answer to every oil question they might have for a follow-up call. All you have to do is say, oh, that's a great question. My upline Rebecca probably knows. Let's get you together with her. Are you open to learning more? You don't have to know everything about oils here. You just have to know how to do those 3 things. So the next time that you follow up with someone after sharing a sample with them, I hope that you remember these steps and it helps you and it's a great experience for you. Stay tuned for the next training.